Is there not an entire section on this subject?
No, yes, I may have changed my mind in the meantime on that, so it's unfair. I may have changed my mind about Mithra, for example.
Is your book for sale about?
Yes, sir.
Let me tell you, let me tell you, let me tell you, let me tell you, let me tell you.
But have you ever asked God for forgiveness? I'm not sure I have. I just go and try and do a better job from there. I don't think so.
Let me tell you, let me tell you, let me tell you, let me tell you, let me.
Say it like you mean it. This is my Bible.
What up? I got something to say.
Hey y'all, welcome to Let Me Tell You episode 36. I am your host, the Evangelical Norm. There were so many things I wanted to talk about this week. Different, just crazy stuff that was coming out. And again, mostly it was dealing with trans and so on. And so as I was breaking down some of the stories that I looked at, there was a few that just kind of had a running theme going between all of them. So today, you see I've got the abortion counter up. So obviously we are talking about abortion, the good, the bad, and the ugly of stuff that came up over the last week and a half or so. Some of it, again. So, I mean, let's just jump in. Initially, first, the Planned Parenthood clinic in Saginaw, Michigan closed down. Actually, it was last month. I didn't see any of this. It suddenly popped up on my Facebook feed this week. So I shared it. This is a great news. Looking through the article a little bit about the closure, this was not a Planned Parenthood that actually did abortions. This was just a referral. So this clinic is very much like the one we have here in Ogden, Utah. Not to say that it's not still a good thing that this is closed down. They give, I'm sure they gave out the morning after pill, different things like that. Chemical abortions, medicine-induced abortions, I'm sure happen here. I should have looked for sure, but surgical abortions do not happen in this clinic. Still a great thing to see this closed down. As I read the article, it basically talked a lot about that they weren't really sure what the reasons behind the closure. They only in the year 2018, this clinic only saw around 800 patients, I believe, where the clinic in Flint, Michigan, saw well over 2,000, almost 3,000 patients in the same year, 2018. So again, but it's a good thing. Anytime we can see abortion clinics shut down, Planned Parenthood of any kind shut down, it's a reason to celebrate. It is a reason to say, okay, there's one less Planned Parenthood out there. Again, every service, I don't even feel like you can call anything this place does a service, but any service that is done here can be done in any other medical clinic, especially this one where they didn't do surgical abortions. Any other medical clinic, any Instacare, any, walk-in, whatever, your local health clinic, community health clinic can do everything these people did. STD tests, giving of birth control, all the things that they try to, that's all they really do. All can be done. There's no reason for Planned Parenthood to even exist. And of course, in the article, it said that the closest services are in Flint, Michigan, which is, whoever knows how many miles away. I don't even want to go back to look for the article again. So, but in reality, there are medical clinics much closer, right there still in Saginaw. I'm sure Saginaw has at least 4 or 5 other just general medical clinics where every one of these procedures can be had, provided by other places. So, praise God. It's a good thing. Now folks in Saginaw, if they're involved in the End Abortion Now ministries, can find somewhere else to go. This one is done. again, I would love to see any of these turned into a, the article said it's for lease. So I would call out to CareNet, anyone that, Crisis Pregnancy Center, snatch this building up. Snatch it up and put it into use for something good, for a crisis pregnancy center, where this has been a place where people have been coming. It's a habitual place for people to come. Put a Christian-based, a gospel-based crisis care pregnancy clinic in this place, and watch babies get saved. Save the Storks. Any of those groups can get in here, get this building. I would love to see that happen. If I was in Saginaw, I would work really hard to make this happen. Praise God. I don't like the winter here in Ogden, Utah. I'm sure the winters in Michigan are far worse. I couldn't handle it. Praise God, I don't live in Michigan. Now watch, God's going to send me to Michigan. So that was a great thing. That was a really good thing. I was glad to see it. We praise anyone that has anything to do with this horribly racist, classist, you name it. This is what this organization is. I mean, founded by Margaret Sanger, who was a eugenicist who wanted to see the black race eradicated, who wanted to see, poor people and quote unquote imbeciles sterilized. This was her goal. This was, only the wealthy and affluent should be able to reproduce and continue on. So the eugenics behind Planned Parenthood is ugly, disgusting. The racism behind Planned Parenthood is ugly and disgusting. And the fact that they are murdering children trumps all of it. If Margaret Sanger was the nicest, kindest woman in the world, it would still be murder to kill babies. I saw something, I wish I had some kind of meme about, again, trying to make it an argument between, I know what it was. It was something, and it was from early on this year, January or February of this year, where it was saying that Christians should not say that abortion is murder until they say, "We will serve you." I mean, it's a false dichotomy between the two to say that, again, so many anti-life people, pro-murder, pro-abort, call them what you want, make the claim that Christians are only pro-birth. And then once babies are born, we don't care. And that's a false thing. Again, there's it's creeping into Christianity, into churches and so on, this attitude of, and I think even Matt Chandler made a quote that we shouldn't say it's murder until we say we're going to serve you. And allowing this to move in, this attitude, and false attitude at that, because when you look at the churches that are so steeped in anti-abortion ministries, Apologia specifically, they are, saved babies, and there are tons of babies in that congregation that have been adopted. Christians bear the greatest percentage of people who adopt and who give to charities and all these things. Christians are those who do it. Now, yeah, we may have a worldview where we're looking at government and saying we don't think government needs to be involved in as many things as they are right now, and that's where they're going, oh, well, you just don't love babies, you just don't want to take care of them. No, I want the church to take care of them. I want the church to step up and do what the church is supposed to do and get the government out of it. It's the reason why adoption costs so much, is the government involvement, and why abortion is so cheap, because of the government involvement. Now, granted, I think we need to be, I think people need to be vetted before they just adopt children. There are some ugly situations that adopted kids can get into out there. There are some people, again, and we'll talk about this in another episode, I mean, literally there are people who would, if they could, adopt children just for the purpose of sex trafficking. I know it's there and the possibility, but that should not be why it's so astronomically expensive to adopt. Jeff Durbin and Candy Durbin are getting ready to adopt. They should have the baby very soon. I want to say this month, maybe even this week, the last thing I saw. But they are adopting a baby, and praise God, they have the sphere of influence that they do, that they were able to literally in one day, that somebody created, I don't think it was Jeff and Candy, I don't think they created the GoFundMe or the donate account or whatever, but someone did for them. And literally, and I think they were trying to raise $25,000 something to go towards the expenses of adopting this baby. I want to say Gideon. That's the name that I should, again, my show prep is fantastic. And I just read the article, read Jeff's post real quickly. I can't remember what they're naming the baby. I'm pretty sure the name Gideon is there. So, but to help them raise money, within 24 hours, they had that and then some to help. And I know, this is something that Christians will do. If people are struggling and in need, who really want to adopt, who are willing to give babies good homes, but can't afford it, I know there are Christians out there who will give to that end to make sure that these babies are adopted and saved and not murdered. So again, it is such a false statement that Christians we just want to force the women to have the baby, and then we're not there to care for it. We are the ones that are, and we should be more and more, and having the government out of that. Now, granted, I'm glad that our government can provide for some single moms and stuff like that, but that all needs to be, and it's a whole other tangent that I didn't intend to talk about, but that all needs to be, reformed into the point where the church should be doing more and more for this. That's where our charity should come from the church. But the government has taken that role away from the church and put it in a role that it does not belong in. The church doesn't belong in the government should not be in the charity realm. That should be coming from the church. So again, I don't even know how I got off on that tangent, but praise God, babies are being saved. Christians are the ones who are going to be there. So I just encourage you, and I'll encourage again at the end of this video, because all I'm talking about today is abortion. But I would encourage you, if you're part of a church, a good Bible-believing church, and you are interested in abortion mill ministry, go to End Abortion Now. Sign up. Get signed up. They're going to call. Zach's going to call and contact your pastor and going to talk about it and make sure you have all the resources and everything that are needed for that. And then he's going to send you out the stuff and get out and get involved. But make sure when you're out there and you're telling women that are getting ready to go in there and murder their babies that we have people to help, make sure we do. Make sure your church has a couple of couples that are willing to adopt. Ours does. Ours has plenty of couples in the church that are willing to, my wife and I included, are willing to do whatever it is we need to do to adopt babies, to make sure that they're not murdered, but they are saved and put into a good home, and ultimately raised up in the way they should go, and hopefully raised in a way that the Lord will draw them to himself and save them. So there's the good. Planned Parenthood in Saginaw, Michigan shut down, and we just want to see more and more. I would love to see the Planned Parenthood here in Ogden shut down and gone. I would love to see every Planned Parenthood across the nation shut down and gone. That should be our goal. But unfortunately, as we get to the bad, the government is not going to allow that to happen. Donald Trump, here's my beef with Don. All right, and the thing is we've had multiple articles that have popped up and, oh, Donald Trump defunds Planned Parenthood. Well, that's not true. Little bits here and there, 50,000 or 500,000 or whatever. This Planned Parenthood gets probably around $500,000 a year from the government, if not more, if it's not in the millions. I don't remember exactly how much, but when we're seeing $50,000 taken away, or this, just small amounts of money but they haven't been completely defunded. Our government is still giving money to Planned Parenthood when they should not be giving money to Planned Parenthood. Donald Trump made a promise that it would be defunded. I want to see 100% of government funds removed from Planned Parenthood. I want to see Planned Parenthood completely taken off of the budget. Should not even be a line item. But here we've got this situation. We've got David Daleiden. I don't know if you've seen the stories about recently. I want to say it was either end of last week or early last week or the end of the week before, where it came down that a judge in California has fined him, said he has to pay like $2 million to Planned Parenthood. So this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous that he should have to pay. Again, it's a attack against the First Amendment. He went in as an investigative journalist. They hid their identities. They faked their identities and so on to get in, to get the information. The original videos were released, the undoctored, unedited for time or length or any of those things for presentation value. The raw core videos were released so we could see that there was no doctoring going on. Planned Parenthood is literally, and they probably still are, selling baby body parts. As they're aborting, they're pulling these things out and they are selling them essentially to the highest bidder. So it's slavery all over again, but the slaves are already dead and they're just being parted out. And David Daleiden went in and exposed this. This man should be receiving a medal from our government, not a fine from our government. He went in and exposed the horrifying corruption within this organization that our government gives. And I want to say, I said 500,000 before. It's beyond that. It's like $200 to $300 million a year that they are giving to Planned Parenthood. It is a lot. It's a lot of money. It's not a small amount. But the government is going to fine this man rather than applaud this man for what he did. And they're still continuing to allow Planned Parenthood to operate. This is our government's failure in actually doing what they're supposed to be doing, what God has ordained them to do, and that is to wield the sword against the evildoer. And it's Planned Parenthood, not David Daleiden. Planned Parenthood is the one that is murdering babies and selling their body parts. Again, Planned Parenthood is shown as a non-profit organization, but if you go back and look, they had well over $300,000 to $500,000 or $500 million in profits. They're $1 billion organization. This is not this is, and they're vile. So yeah, Planned Parenthood should be shut down. David Daleiden and James O'Keefe, Project Veritas, Lila Rose, Live Action should all be given medals for what they've gone in and done, and in exposing the criminality behind this. I mean, just again today I saw an article, I don't know how old it was or where it came from, that Planned Parenthood covered up the abortion that they did on a 12-year-old who was being sex trafficked. And they did the abortion and they covered it up. They did not report it the way they are supposed to. Because again, all they want is the dollar to make the money, and they'll cover up whatever they have to cover up to get there. Planned Parenthood is all about murdering babies for money. And then you get the really ugly portion of this, and that's Elizabeth Warren in the Democratic debate this last week, where she literally got up there and said that that abortion is an economic issue. And then to state that, that if abortion's made illegal, rich people will still get abortions, but it'll just be hard on the poor people who won't be able to get abortions. And, again, to try to make this into an economic argument when Planned Parenthood is making the money that they are. I mean, all the millionaires and so on that she wants to, well, she doesn't want to do millionaires. She wants to get billionaires. But ultimately, for any of her plans to work, they're going to have to start taxing the millionaires too, which includes her. But that's going to be all of the bigwigs at Planned Parenthood. And Planned Parenthood should be, as a corporation, they don't like these big corporations except for Planned Parenthood. They want to tax them all and limit the incomes and so on, except for Planned Parenthood. And she's going to take and make this an economic issue. I mean, it's bad enough that it's a health issue. There's nothing healthy coming out of Planned Parenthood. 100% of the abortion, well, I shouldn't say 100% because some children are born and survive the abortion. But the intention is to kill. That is their stated goal, is to literally take a life for every person that goes in there to receive an abortion. Their goal is to take a life. There's nothing healthy about that. There's nothing good about that. I mean, if you notice, it used to be the argument was they wanted abortion to be safe, legal, and rare. Well, now they just want it to be safe and legal. They don't care about rare. Kill all the babies. That's the Democrat stance now. And it's horrifying. It is ugly to see, Ayanna Pressley gave a speech talking about abortion and how important it is to give, and talking about trans women need access to abortion rights and blah, 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 blah. Well, one, dudes who think they're pretty don't ever need an abortion. And women who want to wear flannel are not men. So, I mean, just the ridiculousness of it that is coming out over and over and over again. It's just worse and worse and worse. And we need to be demanding of this president that it be defunded completely. All those people who jumped on the Trump train, should be getting a little bit disillusioned right now. We give the president credit where credit is due, but he is not doing what he promised to do when it comes to abortion and Planned Parenthood. The judges that he's appointed to the Supreme Court, I do not believe that they are the judges that we want to see Roe v. Wade overturned. Again, 7 out of the 9 justices in 1973 when Roe v. Wade was decided were Republican appointed justices. And Trump is just going to fill up the court. I mean, it's almost a guarantee that Ruth Bader Ginsburg is going to be gone soon, and that'll be another seat that Trump gets to fill. But unfortunately, I don't think he's going to fill it with a truly pro-life justice. He's not going to put someone like a Mike Lee, or Mike's brother, I think his name is Thomas Lee, or a Ted Cruz, or anybody like that who are truly pro-life. There's no way they're going to see a seat on that court. Not from Donald Trump. Because, again, this is where I firmly believe that Donald Trump only wants to do so much. He wants to look the part of the conservative, But again, he's still got those Democrat roots, and he knows how to play the art of the deal. I firmly believe that our president is a con man, and he has to do some things good to keep his base happy enough that we'll be willing to. But there's so many who are not willing to call him out when he does something wrong. Donald Trump, you made a promise to defund Planned Parenthood. And I don't remember that promise being an incremental promise, a little bit here, a little bit there. That promise was to defund, and I want to see you do it completely. Take every penny away from that organization. Let them go out and bully the people who already donate to them. The way they did with Susan G. Komen. Susan G. Komen gets, a few years back, gets a Christian president who says, oh, well, we're not looking to give any money to Planned Parenthood anymore because there are recognized links between breast cancer and abortion. And they bullied Susan G. Komen back into giving back to Planned Parenthood. Again, we're seeing the bullying of Chick-fil-A, and we're seeing these groups cave. We need to see these groups continue to stand firm. And not and see the government take the money away. Planned Parenthood has plenty of supporters. Let all these famous Hollywood types put their money where their mouth is, and let them give their money. If they want to see it continue on, let them give their money and take my money out of there. So yeah, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And again, we just draw attention to the counter. Since we started this episode 27 minutes ago, worldwide, almost 2,000, well, there you go, 2,000 abortions have been performed. Worldwide today, I'm recording this just past midnight. So 1,400 today. Since I started this video, obviously we crossed over the midnight line somewhere, wherever this is kept track of. But yeah, worldwide, since we started this page, over 2,000. In the United States, it's late. I doubt there's any abortions happening. But in the time frame that we took, and you'll be watching this in the morning. So you'll be watching this in the morning. So, these will essentially be accurate. Except for the one, but in the United States today, in 30 minutes, 36 kids are going to die. Almost over one a minute are murdered in this country in Planned Parenthoods and other abortion clinics across the United States. And again, then look at in the U.S. this year, after 16 weeks gestation, the United States this year total, 858,000. Almost 1 million kids have died, and 10%. Look at that. And no, that's not 10%. That is 1% are due to rape or incest. I'll figure out math here in a minute. I can work a decimal point. 1%, less than 1% are due to rape or incest, but yet that's the argument that is used to keep it safe, legal, and rare. Well, 858,000 kids murdered in a year, that's not rare. And with all the situations, we read them all the time. We see the articles where, just a couple weeks ago at Planned Parenthood somewhere, who had a woman who was crashing, who called 911 and said, and you can hear it on the thing, please don't use sirens, because we don't want the protesters to know you're coming. And this woman almost died because the way that it was presented, well, no, it's not such a huge thing. She's got a little bleeding. This woman was hemorrhaging. And they told the ambulance not to bring sirens because they're hiding stuff. That's not safe. And it should not be legal. Because literally, this is the taking of an innocent life. Look, black children since 1973 in the U.S., 18 million. That is, is heartbreaking. By Planned Parenthood this year, there's more statistics that we can look at. 316,000 babies have been murdered by Planned Parenthood this year. We got 1 month left, and that number is going to just continues to grow until we can get somebody to move in, a president who will really truly stand firm and put in the justices that need to be there to see Roe v. Wade overturned, will truly take every dime away from Planned Parenthood. We're not going to see it through this president. I firmly believe, and I honestly hope he'll get an opportunity to prove me wrong. I hope to see Ted Cruz run again and win the presidency in 2024. I'd love to see him primary Trump and try to get the presidency in 2020. But truly, to see someone who is a truly pro-life president come in and just completely do away with Planned Parenthood. That's my prayer, and that should be all of our prayers. That we would do away with not just Planned Parenthood, but abortion clinics, overturn Roe v. Wade, criminalize abortion in this country. And yeah, that means that women who go in to have abortions will be charged with a crime. And then, again, the argument always comes, well, how long do they go? That's up to a judge to decide. That's not my decision. The judge is there to consider situationally, but I think that punishment should be given. And again, you'll have situations where it's rape or incest or any of these things. And at that point, you look at situations and the person who did the rape should be exterminated. Executed. That's the word I'm looking for. I am all about the death penalty for rape in this country. And people, well, what about people who are falsely accused? Well, we need to have far better investigation. We need to have, there's a lot that goes into it. But truly, if somebody is absolutely guilty of rape and is bringing in a young girl to have abortion because of it, death penalty for them. Especially if the abortion happens. So yeah, it should be criminalized, and all that should be part of it. I know it's an unpopular opinion. Nobody's going to like me for it, but luckily only 20 people are listening to this, and they're probably all in agreement. But we'll see. We'll see what kind of hate mail I get. So there you go. The good, the bad, and the ugly of abortion over the last week and a half. And it's only going to get worse, guys. It's only going to get worse unless we are willing to step in and start acting upon our beliefs. The church needs to step up. They need to step up and be willing to adopt, to be willing to take care of single moms and widows and so on. They need to be willing to step in and give the charity to the poor and the needy. And to be the hand of Christ in this world, and to do what they're called to do, which is to take care of those people, to help people get jobs. Because again, it's the Bible that says a man does not work, neither should he eat. If a man is capable of working, then he needs to be providing for his family. And if he's not going to do it, then he doesn't eat. But the church should be there to help those people, help them, learn how to get jobs, or help them to find jobs, or whatever. The church should be there to disciple men so that they will be men and stand and provide for their families. That's what is lost in this country, is the influence of the church on men and culture and society. And we have seen, I fought against pushed back against it so much, almost 15 years ago, and even up to 2007, 2008, where people started talking about the feminization of the church, and I pushed back against it. Nah. I see it. Eyes wide open now. The church has lost its influence on men. It's lost its influence on culture. It's not doing what it is supposed to do, and that is to provide in these ways. To disciple men to where they go and they are are willing to work, to put in the work to provide for their families and stay with their families. Disciple these men to disciple their families. And if we see that, once we see that start happening, and we're seeing it in churches, and we're seeing so many other churches that are pushing back against it. We're seeing people, theonomists and stuff like that, who are coming and saying, we should have, it's not putting us back under the law for salvation, but some of the laws that were in the books for Israel and so on, civil laws and so on, are still good laws, and they should be laws today. Again, where rapists and so on are harshly punished, not just thrown in jail for, a time and then get let out on parole or probation or whatever. These things are not bad. To say that it's probably best to homeschool your kids and get rid of your Netflix and stuff like that, that's not a bad thing. Those things should be born out of our salvation. Hashtag that post mill. Seeing those things happen, seeing churches taking over their surrounding neighborhoods and cities and taking over the culture and redefining it to take those cities over for Christ, that's not a bad thing. This is not a bad thing at all. And it would be amazing to see the results of that, and to see what would happen in our culture if the church would come back into its rightful place. I guarantee you we would see abortion done away with if the church would just step up and beyond what we are. There are great churches that are doing great things. We need more. Christian, we need you to be willing to do whatever it is that you need to do to see the culture transformed for the name of Christ. And how do we do that? Well, first and foremost, by always preaching the gospel and always using words, because they absolutely are necessary. Until next time, Soli Deo Gloria.